Okay, we'll recite Namo Tassa 3 times again to start. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay. Before I start, anyone here who has not listened to me before? Anyone new to me? 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. The rest have listened to me before. Okay. Okay. I prefer these sessions to be more interactive sessions. So please ask questions along the way. Don't wait until the end. And you can share feedbacks and so on. So if you thought of any examples of feedback, please do share. And if you have any questions, please do share. Okay. And please ask a lot of questions, because what I'm going to share with you sounds very simple, but because it's so simple, it's very easily misunderstood. So if you think that you understand a certain way, please clarify. Okay. Or you think that Bhante means this, please clarify also. Okay, so today's topic is all problems, one solution. To me, every single problem in the world, without exception, that is, can be solved if you understand where the problems come from. Okay? And actually, I would jump a bit, okay? Actually, one thing I want to emphasize, which I've been emphasizing for the last few years, is that what we experience is not the world in front of us. What we experience is our mental projection of the world. Okay, I will show you through science later on, but basically at this moment, I always emphasize that you are actually not listening to what I'm saying. You are listening to what you think I'm saying. Okay, it sounds very similar, but it's very big different. What you think I'm saying and what I'm saying could be very big different. Okay, so basically, like now you can do it practically. In order for you to see me, you have to use your mind. Of course, the eyes will absorb the rays of light, but rays of light is only different frequency of light. In your mind, you will form the mental image and create stories on the mental image. So which means what you are seeing is not what's happening out there. What you are seeing is what your mind tells you is happening out there. Can see the difference? So, in very simple terms is, if you have a problem, it's nothing to do with out there. It's to do with what's happening in your mind. And what's happening in your mind is basically thoughts coming and going. And you can either choose to pay attention to the thoughts or not pay attention to them. Okay, so basically, the problems is solved if you don't pay attention to these thoughts. Okay, any questions so far? Now, I want to be very careful. I'm not saying that so don't do anything, okay, which most of people will add. Therefore, Bhante says, I should let people keep me because say don't do anything. I didn't say don't do anything. I didn't say therefore you should don't care about the world. I just say that I just show you that where your problems come from, that's all. Once you know where your problems come from, you have a choice not to entertain the stories created in your mind, which is the one that is creating the problems. Okay? Any questions on this? So again, to illustrate this, I always use this same example because it's easier to experience. Let's say you have a roof leaking. Okay? Now your problem is not the roof leaking. Your problem is all your thoughts. How come my roof is leaking at this time when I have to go to work? How come when the roof is leaking when it's the busiest time of the month, I have to submit, tax, and SST is coming. I have to do so many things. Government is already giving me a lot of problems. Now the roof is leaking. Your problem is all these thoughts in your mind, not the leaking roof. If you can see that your problem is all these thoughts in your mind, you don't have to entertain them. When you don't entertain the thoughts, it has no strength over you. But I didn't say don't care about the leaking roof until it floods your house. When you don't care, don't pay attention to the thoughts that's going on in your mind, you don't even have to stop them because they are not real, they are stories. When you try to stop them, means you think they are real and they will continue more and more, become more real. But if you ignore them, actually just don't pay attention to them, they won't disturb you anymore. Then your mind will automatically calm down and you will know what to do to fix the roof. Okay, good question. Don't pay attention means you can roughly use these words, don't care about it, because I'm very careful. No effort is needed. Okay? Because if I use the word, let's say ignore, then you try to ignore it. Not like this. It's the closest example is you come into this room. Let's say there's a very old aircon here, very loud noise. You didn't pay attention to it because you're not interested. You are paying attention to what I'm saying. After a while, you didn't even hear the aircon noise, even though it's there, like this. Okay? So no need to stop the thoughts. Why? Because every thought that arises will cease by itself. Do we realize this? Okay? But most of us don't. You'll be quite surprised. For many years, I didn't. I always thought that if I have angry thoughts, I must stop my angry thought. But I think only a year ago, I realized that I don't have to do anything. When I have an angry thought, immediately the angry thought will cease. Okay? And since I'm on this topic, actually, when you're angry, you need to maintain the anger through maintaining angry thoughts. If you don't make effort to maintain your angry thoughts, you cannot continue to be angry. So it's quite ironic or paradox that we are actually making effort to try to beat ourselves up. If you can really see this, you wouldn't continue maintaining your anger anymore. It's just solving the problem through wisdom. There's no effort needed. If you saw how things work, if you saw that the earth is not flat, but it's round, you can able to travel around the world. If you thought it's flat, then you will drop down at the end. So similarly, if you realize that you need effort to maintain angry thoughts so that you can maintain your anger, you wouldn't do that, because it's like you are doing this and you need effort to maintain. You cannot. It's a self-preservation. Do we get this? Any questions on this?
How about physical pain? How do you ignore?
Okay, ignore is not the word. That's why So what happens is, I always use this example, okay? For example, you have an uncomfortable feeling in your leg, okay? So the difference will come if your reaction is, there is a very painful in my leg, maybe it's going to break. Or your reaction is, there is a sharp sensation on the leg. It makes very different. So depending on your attitude towards the body, your experience, your feeling of the body changes also. Okay? It's not a method. So someone heard this from me and said, Bhante, I tried this as a method. It doesn't work. It's not a method. This one you have to experiment and keep experimenting, and then you will find out for yourself, depending on what's going on in here, that's how much pain or no pain that you're feeling in the body. Okay, any?
How do you have the mindfulness for peace?
To me, it's mindfulness help if you can do practice of watching the breath and all that in your normal sitting meditation. But I feel that more important is the passion. Are you really interested and curious to find out where your emotion comes from? So next time, one way is to do experiment. Don't take what I'm explaining to you as method. It's as to be used as experiment, okay? For example, the next time when you're angry, try to see that if you don't maintain angry thoughts, you cannot maintain the anger. One way to experiment it is you are very, very angry, or even in a heated argument. Suddenly, if you try to think of some really funny joke, can you continue to be angry? You can't. So that shows that your emotion is a reflection of your thinking. When your thinking changes, your emotion changes. So how to do that is to experiment. Every time when you have a drama, you try to experiment where did the drama comes from. Through more experiment, you will be able to realize that your understanding of how the world works is not correct.
But I think to be able to do the experiment itself, you will need mindfulness to do it. Because talking from a perspective of a big person, we all have our problems. And maybe you're right, we don't have enough passion to do it. But then to have the passion, I think you need to have the mindfulness. So how do we actually cultivate this mindfulness, the sharper mindfulness to be able to have the passion, actually try to see the emotion?
I don't agree that you need a lot of mindfulness. Of course, I agree that mindfulness helps. Mindfulness is developed in many, many different methods. So today I won't touch on that, how to develop mindfulness, because you can do watching the breath, sitting mindfulness, to not during normal activity, but let's say every day you spend 12 minutes just watching the breath. And according to a professor in Miami University, just 12 minutes a day of practicing mindfulness awareness, either your breath or your body, you will be able to sharpen the mind. Okay, so there are many methods on that. Today I won't touch on the methods, but personally I feel that you don't really need a lot of mindfulness. Of course, you're right, if you are totally lost in your heated argument, very difficult. So you have to start with something easier, like you're angry but not totally angry until you want to kill the person. Experiment slowly with easier things first, then slowly try to see that every emotion you have is reflection of a thought. Okay. And also, regarding this, our mind is very powerful. If you have the very strong belief that I definitely need awareness or mindfulness to see this, you're trapped in that also. Whatever you think will be a reality. That's how powerful the mind is. Okay. Okay, any other questions before I move on?
Thinking about.
In the sense, it's both thought and emotion, because passion is both thought and emotions both come together. I'm talking more of like Vedana. Normally, unfortunately, Pali Vedana is only pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Here I'm talking about passion as in you really, you can take it as a pleasant feeling, but it's not, Vedana is not so detailed category. Like happiness, sadness, all that is not categorized under Vedana. Okay. So, any questions? Okay.
We must in the stage of we ourselves as a movie watcher, and watching a movie as well, and then observe it without.
You can use that as a skillful means. Okay? You can use that as a skillful means, but only be careful. Every skillful means has a weakness. So the witness careful is, if you keep doing that, that's very useful to see what's going on in the mind. Okay, useful to explore and experience what I explained to you. But don't get into the trap that slowly you will think that there is a you who is an eternal soul that's watching everything. That's all. Okay.
I heard a lot of people
Oh.
watching movie. I cannot. Even the real watching movie,
Huh?
I will laugh with it, I'll cry with it, I will feel.
Oh, you get lost in it. Yeah, I understand.
Watching movie thing,
If you cannot, then cannot. It's okay. Everyone is different. You don't have to. Okay. So the other point I want to stress is, in general, actually, when we are not lost in thoughts, we are always back to this natural state of calm and peace. Okay, like now, just pay attention to your present moment. You will feel this calm and peace, which we are looking for. Okay, anyone has any questions on this? As long as we are not lost in our thoughts, we are always back to this natural state. Okay? Now slowly explore also, even when you're lost in thoughts, at the background there is this silence where the thoughts come up from, which is this, we can call it peace and contentment or happiness that we look for. Any questions? Okay, so basically, we have the happiness that we look for already. Okay, if you realize this, then you have a backing behind you, and that helps you in solving whatever problems come also. Okay, so every problem we have is result of getting caught up in the content of our thinking. And the solution to every one of those problems is to find your way home to the space within. That is the space where the thoughts come out. Okay? So all your problems are reflection of your thoughts. If you have a stressful problem, it means you have stressful thoughts. If you have anger, it means you have angry thoughts, and so on. So when you are not caught up in all this thinking, you back to your natural state, you are fine. Okay? So two important Dharma that I'm sharing today, and I'll keep emphasizing throughout whole day, this session, is that one, you have the natural peace and calm that you're looking for. It's always there at the background, even though when you're struggling. And the second one is, whatever you experience is not what's happening in the world. What you experience is what's happening in the mind, the thoughts. Okay? So, if you don't understand, Bhante, how do I go back to this natural well-being? It's with us, especially when we are babies. So look at babies. Babies, I always emphasize, babies don't need to see psychologists or psychiatrists for depression problem, because they are naturally happy and contented. And they don't need a reason to be happy at all. So, and we have this childlike character inside us. So as long as we are not lost in our thoughts, we will always fall back to this default setting. But we have to know that this is here and explore and keep seeing through real experience that this background is always there. Okay, not by believing and not by rejecting. It's by keep experiment that this calm and peacefulness is always at the background. Okay? So every time bring your mind to the present moment, to the real time, to the here and now. You might not be able to maintain it. That's not the problem. If you want to maintain this, already you have the idea that it's not there all the time. You get what I mean? It will be you're going against what I was sharing with you, that this peace and contentment is always there all the time. Then you would say, Bhante, but how come it's not, I don't feel that it's there all the time? That's because you were lost in your thoughts. That's all. Okay? So it's not that it's not there all the time. You are paying attention to the thoughts instead of the background. It's like in the sky is always there no matter how much clouds or storm there is. But because you are paying attention to the storm, you didn't see the sky. But that doesn't mean the sky is not there. Okay? So, when you bring, this is one way to feel this calmness which is always there, to bring yourself to the here and now. Now when you are bringing yourself to the here, you cannot be lost in your thought. Once you are present, you are not lost in the thought anymore. So that's the power of this being present and being aware. And it's not difficult, like everyone here can bring yourself to the present. The only difficulty is if you want to keep maintaining this. You can't maintain this until maybe you become Arahant or Buddha. So don't be overly ambitious and get very disappointed. Okay, this one, we'll leave this. Okay, where is this from the text? Is in Anguttara Nikaya, book 1, verse 49 and 50, which says that luminous as in it's bright, it's pure, it's peaceful, it's basically contented and peaceful. Luminous monks is the mind and is defiled by incoming defilements, as in you're getting lost in your thoughts. Luminous mind is the mind, luminous monks is the mind, and it's free from incoming defilements if you're not lost in your thoughts. Okay? So if you go beyond all concept, you will find that stillness in your mind, in the quiet chambers of your mind, when you go from known to unknown, from physical to spiritual. So basically, going from the formless before your thoughts are formed, you will be able to touch base with this calmness inside. It's beyond word, and when you hear beyond words, you will hear this, you will experience this calmness, inner light, the knowledge, wisdom, that's before contamination of thought. And it's a feeling, it's a nice calm feeling inside us. Okay. So very quickly, this one is basically to touch base is to live in the present, not getting lost in the thoughts again. Another way to look at it is look within. Within actually is not a very good word, but it's the closest, because the outside world is also the projection of the mind. In reality, there's no within and without, but that's the closest. Look at the formless or the silence. Okay, so actually inside us there's a diamond, but it's covered with thoughts, and then we try to think good thoughts to cover it some more with the cosmetic. All we got to do is not pay attention to the thoughts that's covering the diamond. We don't have to add extra thoughts around it. Okay, this one not so important, so I jump. Okay, one way to help with this is the analogy of an ocean. No matter how much waves there are on the surface of the ocean, the bottom of the ocean is always calm and peaceful. So similarly with our mind, no matter how much thoughts you have, at the background is always calm and peaceful. So you just have to shift your attention. Not pay too much attention on these waves of thoughts that you have, but pay more attention on the background. Then you will not get lost in the thoughts. Okay? So the peace, love, happiness we look for is always within, and you can touch base with it anytime. It's not about I have to practice 100 years or 200 years, then only you realize it. It's here and now, you can feel it. So no matter what happens, it's always there. And this, if you experiment and verify this for yourself, you will have a backing no matter what happens in whatever situation. Okay, so now where's the problem? Just now I mentioned, you can't feel this all the time. It's because of getting lost in thoughts. So, just now I mentioned a little bit how we see, okay? Similar to how we hear, you don't see what's out there. Lights of different frequency come into our eyes, and inside our mind, we construct images of what's happening there. And then we add story. So basically, every moment you are constructing the world. You are not experiencing what's happening there, but you are constructing the world. This is very important. If you can see that what you experience is what's constructed in your mind, then you wouldn't take what's happening, what you are experiencing as the ultimate truth. The problem with you and me now is every single thing that we experience, we take it as it's a real thing that's happening. It's not. It's actually a story make up in your mind. So how to help you not get affected by thoughts is over the next 1 hour, I will keep showing you using science that whatever you're experiencing is all stories made up by you. It's not the reality. You are never experiencing the reality. But that doesn't mean there's no reality out there. So don't get frightened. There's a real world happening out there, but it's just that we are experiencing our story version of the world. Any questions so far? Please to ask questions so that I know whether you are understanding this or totally misunderstood. Because once you know that and can verify for yourself that whatever you experience is not the reality, it's stories made up in your mind, then you wouldn't take your thoughts too seriously. It doesn't mean you can't use your thoughts. Then you become the master of your thoughts instead of servant to the thoughts. Now the problem is we are servants to our thoughts. Whatever we think is real, and we follow whatever we think. If our mind says, this person is a bad guy, we should hate him, we should get angry, then you follow. Because we think every thought is real. Okay? Any questions? Oh, good.
Okay. The way we see the world, we have positioned by ourselves through childhood, education, and people around us. I think we've been doing that from birth until now.
Correct.
So, this is where we are currently.
Correct.
And this is how we've been operating currently. Now, if we were to change it, this is like learning a new thing.
No, I'm not asking you to change anything at all. So, good question. I'm explaining to you that whatever you're experiencing is not what's the reality. If you can keep verifying this and see that whatever you're experiencing is not reality, it's a story made up by you based on your background, influence, conditioned by people, and so on, then you wouldn't take it as real. That makes a lot of difference. That's all. I'm not asking you to change it so that, okay, now I should think a different way. No changing different way. Then you still think the thoughts are real. Maybe you digest a little bit. So basically, good. Go ahead.
Using examples like how we shift that behavior system, and like how do we shift our focus from the storm to the calm? For example,
Okay, how to shift?
So
how
so
to
in that
shift?
sense, we have a real example, perhaps, like, so that when we know next time if we face this situation, we tell ourselves, okay, this is a story, or just trying to understand how to practice that.
Okay.
Yeah.
One example is, every time when I'm angry, now I can see that I am having a lot of angry thoughts in my mind. Okay, let's say someone says something. A says something, says, Bante, you are really stupid. Okay, I would still get angry, but very quickly I will see that there are thoughts like this going on in my mind. How can he scold me like this? He's totally disrespectful. He shouldn't do this to me, and so on. And I will quickly see that if I don't maintain this type of thoughts, maintain as in keep creating this kind of thoughts, I cannot maintain my anger. And when I saw this, I immediately saw that I'm doing this. Because also I can see that the anger is causing me a lot of pain. So basically I'm hitting myself because the pain is coming not from the person. It's coming from the thoughts here. Can you see this? But you don't have to see every single content of the thoughts. You just have to pay attention to what topic of thoughts are you dwelling on at that time. It's definitely angry thoughts. if you don't dwell on angry thoughts, dwell as in you keep creating new angry thoughts, you cannot maintain the anger. Including sadness. When I feel sad, I will immediately see that at that moment I'm thinking I might not know exactly every single thought, but I can see that I'm thinking in the line of life is terrible and so on. Don't need to change the thoughts. I'm not asking you to change the thoughts. I'm asking you, once you see that you yourself is continuing to create new negative thoughts, either sad thoughts or angry thoughts, you cannot maintain it. So two things have to do. First, you have to be open. Most of us, unfortunately, we have been brainwashed that my emotion is a reflection of what's happening in the world. Okay? As long as you think that your anger comes from what the person say, like stupid Bante, you cannot not continue creating new angry thoughts. Because it's like this hand is from outside, keep hitting you. I cannot stop this hand because it's not my hand. So first you got to open to the idea that my emotional reaction might not be a reflection of what's happening in the world. It might be a reflection of what I'm thinking. That's the first. You have to verify in your daily life. If you ask me how to do it in your daily life, so that's why I say the next time, I always say this, the next time when you have anger, sadness, any drama, be very happy. Now you have the chance to learn Dharma in the drama. So don't waste the drama, okay? And when you learn it, please share with me, because I don't have enough drama to give example to share with you all. So it's that simple, that's all. So the next time, or you can try, if you are creative, you are free to use many ways. If you are creative, don't use this as a method to solve your anger, but use it as an experiment. The next time when you are angry with someone, you think it's because what he say. During the anger, you try to think of something funny. Can you continue to be angry? You cannot. No, when you're angry, you try to think of something funny or try to think of something happy. When I was a kid, it was very natural for me. When I was very fearful or sad, I would suddenly think of something happy. And then immediately I cannot continue to be fearful or sad. When the thought changes, the emotion changes. But again, I want to stress, I'm not asking you to change your thought, because that way you will think that the thoughts are important. Then you will make the thoughts very real. I'm just saying that it's a natural state. When thoughts changes, emotion change. So the thoughts are not substantial. They are not real. Thoughts are thoughts, stories like in a dream. So, yeah.
I think can we say that the teaching is actually asks us that to mindfully watch our thoughts that when it surface.
You can do that, but more important is easier is if you're trying to be very mindful all the time, then a bit difficult if I don't have that requirement. Easier to do is the next time when you have any drama, okay, I love drama, try to see where the drama comes from. Then easier, because then you don't have to maintain, I got to be careful what I'm thinking, then you can't do anything. So the next time when you have a drama, either you are upset, you're angry, you're fearful, try to see, fear sometimes a bit more difficult, okay? But anger, sadness, upset, depression, easier. Try to see what topic of thoughts are you having at the moment. And if this topic changes, I'm not asking you to change, but if this topic changes, can that emotion continue? It's questions for you to ask yourself. It's not difficult, it's very simple, but the problem is, I can understand the problem is emotionally, we find it very difficult to digest this. Number one, because we always blame the outside for a problem. And now I'm shifting the source of it, we struggle. Because for many lives, it's those bloody guys out there that cause me problem. But now suddenly I point the arrow here, there's an emotional struggle. So I understand that. But it's not difficult. It's not a difficult thing. Any questions here? Okay, here first.
Bante, is it something like you're playing, example, I say play badminton, you have a partner next to you, and the partner keep miss the ball. So deep down you're like, ayo, the fella keep miss the ball, keep losing the point. So you start to develop hatred to the person. But then the problem is the shuttlecock is still coming to you. So instead, I don't think back of that thought. I just say, okay, I need to hit the shuttlecock to the other court. Because the thoughts, if let's say I keep on thinking he cannot hit, so I will maybe take his court and then I will hit the shuttlecock from his side, which he can hit actually. Is it something like this? Where I shift my focus?
You have to see that when you shift your focus, then your anger don't continue. Not shift the focus because you solve the anger. Solve the anger to me is not so important. Important is to try to keep seeing in your daily life that your experience or your emotional reaction is a reflection of what's happening here, not a reflection of what's happening out there. But I'm not blaming you. Okay, if you move to self-blaming, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Because you cannot have full control over the thoughts. But you have a choice whether you want to take it as real or not. That's the choice you have. You don't have a choice that I don't want to think negative thoughts. Since Bante say negative thoughts will reflect my experience. You can't do that. But you have a choice not to think that they are real. Any questions? Questions
Thank
are
you.
good. Good. At the back, sorry.
Thanks, Bante. I enjoyed your little diagram there. It's wonderful.
Okay.
So I have a question with regards to problem solving.
Okay.
So sometimes thoughts are useful because you can use it to form a solution.
Yep, no
based
problem.
on thoughts. But what I'm interested to find out is, how does wisdom feel like? How do you know whether with the solution is coming from wisdom or just pure logic?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's initially might be very difficult to tell whether my solution comes from over excessive thinking or come from my intuition, my wisdom. Okay. The general guideline is, if it comes from a space of peace, contentment, and quiet, normally that's intuition. If it comes from a space of, is it correct? Maybe it's not, but I should do this, he likes this, and so on, usually not correct, in general.
So the base of it is stillness,
The feeling,
the feeling.
yes, in general, okay? Of course, there are sometimes exceptions. Because sometimes in a very lost state of mind, sometimes also there are good solutions that come out. But that doesn't mean that that's a good way to go. But in general, normally when it's a calm state and you have an intuition, normally that's a correct way. But be careful also, sometimes from a peaceful, calm mind, it comes out an intuition, and that's the best solution at a time, but the result might not come immediately. Yeah, sometimes you do the best thing, but the result might not come out. So we have to be very careful with that. Then we thought that our solution was wrong. It was not. It's just that it was maybe at the wrong timing, or that people are not supportive of it in many conditions. But at least we are happy that it comes from a peaceful state. We already experienced peace. Okay, any other questions? Okay, good.
Character is the reaction of the individual
Okay,
to a stimuli.
Okay.
Someone might be saying something very bad about you. How intense is your reaction is the methodology to shift your focus is more difficult. So it's always good to count 1 to 10 before you react,
okay,
or 1 to 30 before you react. So you give your time for the body to stabilize and shift your focus to something happy.
okay.
But it's not easy. It's definitely not easy because we have been built up to react to different things with different intensity. Maybe it's something that is very ingrained in you, and your reaction is very intense. Some of them say, "Hey, there's nothing lah. Why you so reacting so badly?" You know? So it's individual.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's individual, and there are many methods to help you not react too quickly. Like you say, count to 10 and so on. Today, I'm not dwelling on that. Today, I'm more dwelling on not even shifting, in a sense, but I'm more dwelling on not what to do. Shifting is what to do. I'm all dwelling on, can you see that your whatever reaction you have, whatever your experience you have, is nothing to do with out there. It's to do with what's going on in your mind, what thoughts are in your mind. And that's a big shift if you can see this. What to do, you will know what to do later on by yourself once you know how it's going on. Okay, so to give you an extreme case, okay, so you might say, Bhante, let's say someone says something, okay, he says, Bhante, you're stupid. That one, I can think that, I can see that it's coming from my thinking, that why he say this and so on, that makes me angry. But what if a trauma? I'm hit by a car, okay? Next time I see a car, I will be totally frightened. I didn't think. So Bhante, isn't that nothing to do with my thoughts? Wrong. It's still to do with your thoughts. Why? What happens is, this is a real incident of an American who teaches what I'm sharing with you. So his son, when he was young, crossed the road, hit by a car, almost died, went into ICU, recovered. The next time he brought his son to cross the car, halfway to crossing the road, he didn't see his son. The son was standing there frozen because the car was very far away, like hundreds of meters away, but the son was frozen, not because of the trauma. We thought it's because of the trauma, because of the memory of the trauma. It's different. Memory of the trauma and the trauma is different. Memory is thought. So it's because of the memory or the thoughts of the trauma, which is not bad. It's a self-protective mechanism that kicks in when you see a car. So he froze. So what to do? The father understand how the mind works. Tell the son, be patient. You take your time. And kids are faster. The minute they're not lost in the thoughts, they are back to the present moment, he's okay. Can walk across the road. So even trauma is thoughts. Okay, Yeah, because it's a memory of the incident that happened. It's not the incident that caused you fear or upset. It's a memory of the incident that happened. And you don't have to dwell in the memory. And in fact, the memory keeps changing. Actually, our past keeps changing. Because every time we think back about the past, it's our story about the past. And your story, you add a lot of salt and pepper, or minus a lot of salt and pepper. So every time you think about past, is version 2, version 3, version 43, version 51. So you are never actually experiencing the past. You're experiencing an ever-changing past, which is a story. But we don't see that. Okay, any questions?
I'm not sure whether this qualifies as a trauma, but for example, I never been bitten by snake, but because I don't know when I was in primary school, whatever, the teacher said, oh, dangerous snake, all sorts of snakes or whatever. So, blocked away.
Yeah, so the thoughts were being programmed in you. So your fear of the snakes come from thoughts.
It's not like trauma.
Yeah, but it's still thoughts. Not extreme as trauma, but it's still thoughts. So that also is example of how your experience is shaped by your thoughts, not shaped by what's happening.
I just wonder whether there's something funny there.
How to solve this? Okay, important thing today is I'm not focusing on solve individual problem. I'm focusing on trying to explain, to let you see that every single experience you have without exception is a reflection of your thinking. When you can keep seeing this, your problems will solve by itself. But now, most of us, I understand, you and me, is we want to quickly solve our problems. But I'm trying to help you to solve every single problems without exception when you understand how the reality works.
For example, the way it comes from.
Sorry?
Certain phase, you see you like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Phase you see,
You don't like. Correct.
you want to go here.
Correct.
It's like, where did that come from? I mean, when I notice it, where did that come from? You can I translate?
For Buddhists, very easy, where did it come from? We always, me and brother always laugh. For Buddhists, any questions that have no answer, the answer is karma. Okay? Okay. So anyway, go ahead.
Just maybe help you know the thing about you share when think of something funny when you're angry or having the unwholesome thoughts. Think of something funny. That one works on you know. It can be
Yeah, but please remember, I'm not asking you to do that as a method. Yeah.
But it will help a lot because I remember asking Ajahn Brahm this question.
Yeah.
Inform and then turn out to be so many people who have the same similar kind of question. So it's not fear of darkness, fear of why? Fear because you're so scared suddenly a ghost will turn out. You've never seen a ghost before, but you can't see ghosts or whatever. It's like darkness.
Okay.
Wow, especially when you're alone. Somehow, when someone's beside you, not scared. Also notice that, okay?
And sorry.
Ajahn Brahm's funny thing is, it is total darkness. The ghost cannot see you, why you scared? So, I thought it was very funny. And it helps, no?
It helps because when your thought changes, your experience changes. But now you suddenly have this idea, although it's not logical, but this idea that darkness, ghosts cannot see me, so what's the problem? So, yeah, when your thoughts changes, your experience changes, so correct. Yeah, so what I'm trying to keep illustrating to you that your experience, your emotion comes from what you are thinking at that moment. If your thinking changes, but I'm not asking you to change your thinking. If your thinking changes, your experience changes. And it can have very, very dramatic changes. Okay, one example I always share is when I was in secondary school, every day I walk to my dad's office, which is 20 minutes, whether rain or shine, without umbrella. If it's rain, I'll be soaked wet. No problem at all. Okay, until one day my mom saw me, son, you cannot be like this. Soaked wet means sick. You have fever. The next time I walk, I have fever. Because the mind is programmed. Soaked wet means fever. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying that's how the mind works. Now the mind has a new program. The mind is a programming. The new program is soaked wet means fever. So fever kicks in. But before that is what fever? Soaked wet, no problem. So I keep trying to emphasize you that when you can see this, I'm not asking you to change your mind. I'm saying that then you wouldn't take what's happening in your mind seriously. It has a very big impact because when this was shared to prisoners, many of the prisoners cry. They say, if I had known I don't have to take my thoughts seriously, I wouldn't have killed the guy because my thoughts told me that he's the one who could kill you, who bullied you, he's the one who tortured you, I have to kill him. That's why I killed him. I listened to my thought. I thought my thoughts are real. But now finally I found freedom in the jail. It's ironic, but I'm grateful I found freedom. So to me, it's just understanding this, you will have freedom and liberation. You are not lost, being enslaved by the thoughts anymore. Question? Sorry.
Yes, Bante. So absolutely, this is very eye-opening, and then it's always good to see that the sources of our suffering is internal and all. But sometimes, maybe due to past karma or whatnot in previous lifetime,
Okay.
yeah, there seems to be a lot of external sense objects that come through our sense doors that kind of like is not very pleasant. So it could be in the form of like people being very antagonistic towards us or whatnot, right? So yes, we can keep doing this kind of like with a wise reflection that, you know, if we don't put any effort into sustaining the thought, or if we don't believe the thought, then we will be able to keep and maintain our peace, right? But sometimes if, let's say, the external conditions are too tough, too challenging,
what should we do?
Wise to remove ourselves, like take skillful shelter, or should we take it as a challenge? Okay, I'll just face all these conditions head on. Yeah.
Okay, very good question. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you is not what to do, not to do. Okay, so what happens is when you are in a very antagonistic situation, everyone gives you a hard time, and you can see that your suffering don't come from them. It comes from what's happening in here. And then you have a choice not to pay attention to these thoughts. Because you do that, your mind calms down. Because now you're not lost in, this guy bullied me. You're not lost in all this struggle. Your mind calms down. When your mind calms down, you have the best intuition what to do. You might totally leave this environment. You might not. But it depends. Every situation is very different. We always want to have one answer fits all. Impossible, because every situation is a new situation. For situation A, maybe you should totally leave this group. For situation B, maybe you should take it as a challenge. You can do something about it. And also one thing to remember is when you are faced with antagonistic situation and you your own self keep having antagonistic mindset thoughts, you perpetuate it. The other person also can sense. Okay, an example is this. There is a lady in the corporate world who gets a lot of pressure and difficulty from the other men colleagues and other colleagues also. So he went to see this person called himself transformational coach, who explained to her what I explained to you, okay, in like whole day. Of course, he explained very skillfully in many different angles, which I will try later in many different angles. And then she went back home, okay. A month later, the coach talked to her and says, how are things going? And she said, everything is fine. And then he asked her, what about work? And she says, work is great. And he said, what about, whatever I talked to you? He said, yeah, but I didn't have time to put that into practice. And he said, you mean you didn't go back to work? No, I went back to work immediately, but my colleagues didn't give me any problem at all. When you have an antagonistic mindset, it also continue to perpetuate the antagonistic environment. In some cases, when your mindset changes, the world changes by itself. Not always. So I'm saying that also has an effect. So at least when you saw that it's coming from here, you don't get obsessed with it. When you calm down, first thing is already you're peaceful. You are in a good state. Second thing is you're in the best frame of mind to make decision. Okay, good. Thanks. Any other questions? Okay, we'll continue. Okay, so this is also science which is new to me, which want to emphasize that you're not experiencing the reality. So each person will see the same thing, like I say, like some will see the apple as bad apple, some as good apple, and so on. But according to science, whatever information of light coming in, we add 10 times information from our memory. So basically, you add more salt and pepper than what's going on. Okay? And I don't know whether you noticed, I never noticed that light travel faster than sound, right? So what's happening is you should see my lip moving first, then only you hear what I'm saying. Like sometimes when you watch movie, they don't dub it properly. You see the lips moving and then the sound coming. That's what you should be experiencing at this moment. You should see my lip moving and then only the sound come. But it didn't. Why? Because they did a scientific study. What happens is lights comes in, the mind don't process it for you immediately. It keeps all those delayed by half a second, compile the information to make it nice, match it with what you hear, the sound and the other senses, and then only present to you. So what is presented to you is not what's happening at this moment. It's half a second delay. So you are not experiencing what's happening now. You only experienced half a second ago. Again, to show you that it's a sort of a filter thing. In a sense. Not censor because they need to compile the thing and need to match the lips with the sound. Otherwise, it will out of sync. So if the mind is functioning in a way for your survival, not giving you the reality. Okay? So if you look at the bottom, somewhere in the fourth line, we don't just passively perceive the world, we actively generate the world. So every moment we are generating the world, and our perception is a controlled hallucination. When we agree about hallucination, we call it reality. So our mind is not reacting to what's happening in the world. So your next question is, what if when we play sports, if it's half a second delay, the ball would have gone. So what happens, our mind is very smart. It predicts what's going to happen. Through the prediction, we can hit the ball. So actually, you are just keep on predicting what's happening. Even walking, you are predicting. From your past experience, there should be something blocking here, blocking there, and so on. It's all prediction. So in a sense, you might not like it, you are always hallucinating. We only think people in the asylum is hallucinating, but we are all hallucinating. So this one, I use the example always that, can you read this? Do you find this simple to read? Because of the phenomena power of the human mind, most people do. But that's not what's there. What's there is DOYUOFNIDTIHS. But we are able to read, do you find this? Because we are reading, seeing, hearing what's not there. Okay. But that doesn't mean we cannot use thoughts. We can use thoughts to create many things. But the problem in most of us is now we get enslaved by the thoughts. We think all our thoughts are the reality. As long as you don't think thoughts are reality, you can use it as a tool to help you to create many things in the world. Okay, so don't get the wrong idea that thoughts are bad. And also, okay, this one.
So this is English, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for people who don't understand,
It doesn't mean anything at all.
I wonder, for something that I never experienced before, or is it impossible? I mean, I've never seen before. I can be frozen in that sense. I mean, when I see this, what is this?
Yeah, so your reaction is frozen because your reaction is based on what you think. So you might see the same thing, I might see the same thing. I have a different idea, you have a different idea. Because both of us are not experiencing the same, we are looking at the same thing, but our experiences are different.
So the reality itself is one thing.
There is a reality out there, but we only experience our version of the reality, which is our story about that reality.
I mean, even for something that I never experienced, no memory, no karma,
Yeah, but for you to experience it, you need thoughts. You need stories. How can you experience without thought? It's like, no thoughts, you cannot experience anything.
If someone gave an example, the first time
What?
how much the Red Indians saw.
Yeah, okay. So,
I'm wondering. I can never be able
okay, so what she's saying that there is this story that when Christopher Columbus went to US, the Indians, as in the Red Indians, saw the ship coming. They didn't see the ship because in their vocabularies, they have never seen a ship before. So even when the ship is approaching, they cannot see it.
What did they see?
I don't know. Whatever they saw is like maybe, strange waves, strange floating flocks, but they didn't see a ship until the ship come very near, and somehow they start making up like, what is this coming? Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So again, we only see a small part of reality, even if you want to say that we see reality, because every moment we are bombarded with many information. There's so many information here, but you only see things which are familiar. But do you realize that we always think that we saw what's going on? Definitely it's him, he's the bad guy, he did this. We are so sure about every single thing. But you only small part. And we think that is ultimate. Okay, this one is very quickly tell you how they realize that we construct the image in our mind. So there's a patient called MM. It's a real life case. 3.5 years old, he lost his sight, couldn't see. So he didn't have the opportunity to slowly learn to construct images from the light. No chance, because 3.5, too young. When he was surgically restored sight at 43, he can see again, but he cannot see. Because he saw lights, he cannot form images. So he can see, he has 2 sons then, he can sort of see his son, but he don't know whether they are laughing or they are frowning or they are smiling. He cannot read the faces and all that because he cannot construct. He got to learn to slowly construct. And interestingly enough, when he was blind, he was skiing. But when he can see again, he can't really, it disturbed him because he can't judge, like, is it, because it's all lights. And it took him 2 years to be able to ski with eyes open, but he's still guessing. After 2 years of being restored the eyesight, he's still guessing what is going on. Okay. Something come in my mind is that before you think that, please don't think that everything is illusion, is nothing. Okay. Some people can get very upset because in their whole life, everything is very solid. Illusion is very beautiful because it's like rainbow. Rainbow is there, but it's not there. You cannot take a rainbow home and try to protect it from people. But you still enjoy rainbow. You wouldn't look at rainbow and say, Bante says it's an illusion, it's not real, so nothing. You still enjoy rainbow. Okay, so illusion is not nothing. And to me, it's easier for the younger generation with virtual reality to appreciate illusion. Maybe a bit difficult for people my generation. Okay, because I know one businesswoman very upset when I share with him about illusion. You mean everything is not real? What about the dana I give you, food not real? Yeah, people get very upset. Right? My whole company that I built up not real. I spent so much blood, sweat and tears, not real. No, not real is not nothing. We equate not real with nothing. Not real is very beautiful because like virtual reality, like a movie. Movie is $1 billion industry. Unfortunately, my dad's time, they treat movie as something very low class. My dad still looked at movie low class. But now, movie is $1 billion industry. So, please don't treat not real as, or illusion as nothing. Illusion is very beautiful. When you see everything is an illusion, you see the magical aspect of the world. That's what the enlightened beings see. The enlightened beings don't hold on to anything because everything has nothing to hold on. Not because he saw everything is repulsive, everything is terrible, it's look not good and so on, so they don't hold on to it. No, because they saw everything is so magical but nothing to grasp. You can't grasp a rainbow and try to protect it. That's why there is no attachment in that sense. It's very beautiful, not repulsive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned, I'm trying to understand what you said the word is not real.
Not real, but not nothing.
It also I think for our senses. I think we are
Okay, before that, I just correct a bit. I say the world that you experience is not real. There's a difference. I'm not saying that there's no real world out there.
coming to that.
Okay.
So when it comes to science,
Yeah.
everything is made of atoms.
Okay.
And inside atoms there's some particle.
Okay.
You go further than that, I think everything becomes energy.
Okay. According to Professor Donald Hoffman, he says that if you reduce smaller energy and to smaller particle, you will realize that the smallest unit is consciousness, your mind. Everything is made up from your mind.
Actually, what we are saying is because of our limited senses, limitation of senses. Actually, because you look at atoms, most of it has empty space.
Correct?
So we're saying solid thing
Correct?
because limitation of senses.
Correct?
So we're actually not seeing correctly.
We are not seeing correctly, correct. But we are so confident that we are seeing correctly. That's what I'm trying to explain, to share with you.
If you have different senses, then you see what.
Correct. If you have different senses. But now, with these senses, we think that we saw the ultimate thing. Okay? When you realize that you're not seeing ultimate, you're just seeing your story, then you don't take things too seriously in the sense. Doesn't mean you don't care. You still care a lot about things, but now your care is not stressful care. Because you're not stressful care, you can care from the sense of love, peace, contentment. Okay, next. Okay, this one, do I want to show this? Okay, maybe I can. So one way to analogy of this is like a TV show, okay? A kid, we start off like a kid, we don't differentiate between objects. Baby don't differentiate, they don't know, this is mommy, this is daddy. We are slowly teaching them, this is a table, this is a chair. Actually, we are limiting them. If I sit on this, when you come in, you would think that this is a very strange chair. You won't limit it to this table. But now, because we are taught this is table, this is chair, we are limiting ourselves. So anyway, slowly, we can't differentiate. Then the viewer slowly engross. Okay? Like Siu may say, we watch a movie, we engross in the movie. So what happens is, the world is like a movie with different character. It's just different character, but slowly we get engrossed in the movie. We think everything is too real. So now what we have to do is slowly see that every character, every person that we see is a character in the movie. And everything in this movie, this world is a prop in the movie. And this whole thing is a 360-degree mental screen. It's like a movie screen, but this screen is like your mind. And it's 360 degrees. So basically, this world is a reflection of mind, a mental screen, which is 360 degrees. And this screen is made up of different pixels and come from different light that produce this character in the movie. Okay, so this is combining ultimate reality with conceptual reality. Conceptual reality as in different characters in the movie, and ultimate reality is everything is basically made up of different, like he said, different energy, different light. Okay, this is one analogy to use. Okay, one way to do, just now I guide you to do that is, try to look for object in front of you. Let's say you can see the Buddha image. Aware that this object can only be experienced through your mind. You cannot experience the object through your hand. You can only use your mind. Once you use your mind to experience the object, you are already adding a lot of your ideas, your concept, your belief, and so on. I'm not asking you not to. I'm just saying that you are not already experiencing what's out there. You're experiencing your stories about what's out there. Okay? Same with sound. Pay attention to the sound and then realize that you can only be aware of the sound through your mind. You cannot be aware of the sound through your hand or whatever. Ears can help to process the vibration, but the processing in the end has to be the mind. and the mind will give different meaning for different person. Two person can hear the same thing. One person can get very upset. One person can be very happy, because depending on our stories. Again, then we won't take things too real. It can have immediate effect, okay, if you explore with it. So one immediate effect is the last, or not yesterday, the last retreat that I did in Chinese is 2 days non-staying retreat. So one lady, on the first day when she went back, she had a call from the sister. Halfway through, the brother-in-law snatched the phone and started accusing her of a lot of things. And she says normally she would get so furious, she would think about it whole night and she wouldn't sleep. But she said that night, she immediately think of, Bhante says, if I get angry, means it's my angry thoughts, nothing to do with my brother-in-law. She said, I slept soundly throughout. Why do I have to be made angry by this person? Why do I have to slap myself for nothing? But we always do that. So again, I want to invite you, like if you saw that someone say something or even bully you, and then you get angry, it's like someone punch you once and then you keep punching yourself. Why do you do that? I don't know. But we always do that. So I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to, if you look clearly what you are doing, just look clearly, you will not continue doing. Because we are unaware, that's why we continue doing. If you realize that you are continuing slapping yourself, when someone punch you once, you punch yourself 100 times, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Any questions there? So this is from Metta Sutta, nearly the last line. Okay, I'm using some quotes to let you know that Buddha did explain to us all this inside some of the sutta. So Metta Sutta is not just spreading loving kindness; it's a path to practice until you reach Anagami. So there's a line here, Ditincha Anupagama Silawa Dasanena Sampano, which normally not translated this way, but Bhante Punyaji translates as having withdrawn attention from the objects perceived, the disciplined individual focuses attention on the process of perception, which means that normally we hear something, we immediately will focus on the person or what the person say. Like he definitely criticized me and so on. But now Bhante Punyaji is inviting you, or Buddha is inviting you to, instead of focusing on the object, focus on the process that you are using your mind to experience what he's saying, and your mind is adding a lot of salt and pepper into it. Just that, not asking you to change anything. When you can see this, immediately you will know what to do. When you see that whatever emotion you have, reaction is not coming from there, it's coming from here, but don't blame yourself because you have no full control. You will know what to do after that. Okay? Any questions?
So use exactly what we are experiencing as an example, how to actionalize this Bhante Punyaji's translation. What you just say, I'm not supposed to listen.
No, I'm not asking you what not to do or to do. I'm saying that normally we focus on the object. Okay, now I invite you, instead of focus, I'm not asking you don't do that. I'm just inviting you, try exploring. If you now change your attention, shift your attention to the process of hearing or the process of seeing, explore what happened. You need a mind of passion and curiosity.
Having withdrawn attention.
That means because you either have to pay attention there or pay attention to the process. You can't do both at the same time. So normally we pay attention of the object. So now try to shift the attention to the process and see what happened. Okay. Good.
I think
Memory,
memory is very important.
Important, yes. What's your question? Sorry.
The person that cheated you
Yeah.
caused you losses.
Yeah.
But you're very angry. So this is important. When you see him, you never deal with him again.
Okay, good question. As long as we think that anger, fear is important, you will never get out of it. But actually, we are extremely intelligent beings. We don't need anger to stop us from dealing with the person. Let's say the person has cheated us. If we are not lost in our thought, we have this ability to sense whether the person will cheat us again or not. But not necessarily the person will cheat us again. He might have changed. If you are holding strongly on your memory, you're not giving a chance to the person to change. People change. But you are right, most of us have this problem. We have this very strong belief that if I don't have anger towards a bad person, I will get cheated again. Not true. You don't need anger. We are not so stupid. We have this intelligence. When someone wants to cheat us, we know, provided we are not lost in thoughts. If you are lost in thoughts that he's so sweet, he's so nice, then sorry, you are already been hallucinated by the person. So as long as we are in a clear mind, we know what to do. We don't need anger. Same with stress. Difficult for us to get out from stress as long as you think stress is a useful tool to drive me to work. Not true. If you are not stressful, you perform better. But we always think that if I'm not stressful, I won't study, I won't do my work. Not true. You don't do your work because you're not passionate enough, you don't like your work. So you got to find out why you're not passionate enough. So this one, don't believe me, you have to experiment. Okay?
So how does that Samvega work? I mean, you need to be like, oh, so scared I've done this.
Not to frighten yourself. This Samvega is, you realize that I need to do something, so there's the passion to find the answer. Okay? Because it can work the other way. Because for me, I realize that most Theravada, including myself, has this idea that the problem is the self. Okay? So I need to get rid of the self. Not true. The self don't exist in the first place. Don't exist as in there's no permanent, non-permanent, independent self that exists in the first place. So when you try to get rid of something that actually don't exist, you are making it stronger. You are strengthening it. Okay, any?
If we make the example about say someone cheated you right in the anger comes from perhaps thinking that you're into a difficult situation, I've got no money, you will not will contribute you not situation. So these are all the thoughts that make you angry.
Yeah, but the thoughts are not helping you to make you angry. I mean, it's torturing you.
Yeah, the problem is still there. So the problem is still there. He's cheated you with money, and you're now, instead of you expecting the money back, you have to ask for the money somewhere else.
So to me, it's much more useful to use your effort to find the money somewhere else than using your effort to cry and grieve over the money loss. Isn't it more beneficial?
It's the human nature where you start feeling like this thing happens to you, you start fighting it, right?
I'm trying to share with you what is normal might not be the best thing for you. Just because 1,000 people think poison is good doesn't mean that poison is good.
So in the situation, what should be good is we find about how to put into practice is that, okay, fine, the problem is there, no point crying over it, just deal with it, don't see this person anymore or whatever, and then go find money elsewhere or sort out how you're going to what can you accept.
Again, back to what I'm sharing today, what you do or not do, we have superb intelligence for it. But the condition is, if you are not lost in thoughts, we will have this intuition, superb condition to solve the problem. Once we are lost in thoughts, we are gone. So back to you try to see that your anger don't comes from him cheating you. It comes from all your stories that he shouldn't cheat me, he shouldn't do that, and so on. Once you saw that, you won't continue torturing yourself by creating angry thoughts. You can't maintain the anger, then you'll be calm. When you're calm, you will know what to do. Might not be avoiding him or might even be confronting him. We don't know. But when you're calm, coming from a state of calm and love, you can do the best thing. Love doesn't mean you embrace him. It means that you come from not wanting a grudge. Coming from a grudge never solve any problem. Even towards a bad guy from a grudge, it doesn't solve the problem. We can be very firm with a person coming from love also. But it doesn't work if I tell you, okay, now go get yourself calm and say, Bante, this person cheated me, how can I get myself calm? You can't. So what I'm explaining to do, sharing with you is not to do the difficult thing. I'm sharing with you is, can you look at the fact that your anger don't come from him. It comes from your thoughts. If your angry thoughts are not maintained, your anger cannot be maintained. This can be done because I keep experimenting myself and I find it very useful, very practical for myself. Once this anger cannot be maintained, you be calm. Once you're calm, you know what to do. Okay? When you're calm, you will have peace and love, which I mentioned earlier. To everything. You don't have this hatred. We always think that bad guy, I need to hate him. Actually, in reality, there's no real bad guy or good guy. If you watch movie now, you realize last time movie is there's a bad guy, there's a good guy. The good guy initially will lose, then after that, the good guy will always win in the end. Now, most movie, you look at this character, he's a bad guy, but he did a lot of good also, he helped the good guy. This guy is a good guy, but sometimes he did something really terrible. There's no real good bad guy. That's the reality. And yesterday I was talking to a teenager who, he says, suddenly his reality shattered because when he was a kid, he always think that good means good, white means white, black means black, bad means bad. But now he realized the world is not. Good can be bad, bad can be good, right can be wrong, right. He's saying, Bante, now I'm confused. I'm shocked how to live in this world. I say, you don't have to be shocked that you are shocked. It's natural that you are shocked. Just adapt. This is the reality. Okay. Any questions? Okay, next. So, suffering is not due to death and rebirth of a self that exists, but due to the false notion of existence of the self and other. Just now I mentioned. Because self and existence are static concepts, like a permanent self. The world keeps changing, it's a dynamic reality, so it doesn't make sense. So actually, we know that it doesn't make sense that to have a permanent self. There is a self, but this self keeps changing. If this self keeps changing, to me, actually, there's no problem in the world anymore. Why? If yesterday John were to beat you up, I always use this example, until you are totally beaten up. Today you see John again and you're very angry, have a strong grudge with John. That's not really logical because the you that's been beaten up yesterday and today you is not the same. It's slightly different. And today's John and yesterday's John is not 100% the same. It's related, but it's not the same. So if today you see John, you are very careful because he might beat you again, correct? Because abang adik, they might have same behavior. But if you are having a grudge, not so logical. Okay. Maybe I might skip this. This all basically, I just summarized. I don't want to go into technical detail. These are lines from the text to show that Bhante Punyaji emphasized that Buddha is trying to keep inviting us to explore the process of experience rather than jumping into the object and the subject. This is summarized for this. Normally, we quickly, something happened, we jump into, he's a bad guy, he make me angry, we jump into subject-object. But actually, it's just a process that's going on. A process of light coming in, we make a story out of it, and then we think the story is real. Okay. I want to skip this. This is same from just now there. Okay. Okay, so if you know where your experience come from, we don't have to be afraid of our experience. This is one of the lessons to me is very important. If you know your experience is a projection of your mind, not out there, you don't have to be afraid of the world so much. For a big part of my life, I'm always very afraid to try to do things that which I think will not be success, 100% guaranteed success. Then I was limiting myself. Because this one cannot do, maybe I can't 100% success, cannot do, that one cannot do. But if you know your experience is nothing to do out there, you can try everything. Your potential can be used fully. Okay? This one not important, I show you just now. Okay, just want to show you that I was saying that whatever you see is your mental projection, right? Which means that in the sense it's not 100% real. So let's say you see this Buddha image. At first you think the Buddha image is real. Now after listening to me, you realize that it's your mental projection. So it's not really real in that sense. But you would think that my mind is very real. There's a mind that sees the mental projection. But actually your mind is conditioned by your past karmic mind. So it becomes this is not real. So every layer has reality and illusion, and the next layer has reality and illusion, and reality and illusion, and it's infinite dependently arise. This is important so that you don't have the idea that after listening to this, then Bhante told me that now everything is a reflection of my mind. So the whole world is under my control. Your mind is also conditioned by past created karmic world or karmic mind. Okay? So just this one, you can explore this later. First, explore that everything is a reflection of mind first, but I just want to warn you, don't stop there. Later on, when you can fully understand this, there are many layers to it, so that you don't stop. Any questions or sharing things? I'm trying to think of, because suddenly I think of if you want examples. Okay, some examples. So, one time, the MC for my Friday night was in a hurry to rush back for my Friday night Zoom session, in a hurry to rush back to start the Zoom session. So she called back home for her sister to prepare the instant noodle for her so that she can quickly have the dinner and then start the Zoom session. Reach home, the sister was extremely angry, totally sour-faced, pushed the instant noodle to her and then left. And she was very upset. I just asked you to make a simple instant noodle. Why are you so upset with me? So she was about to scold the sister, give her a totally real grilling. Then suddenly she realized, Bhante said, don't believe my thoughts. So she paused. Okay? My thoughts might not be real. So wait until the whole Zoom session finishes. Then talk to the mother and realize that the mother has been nagging the sister whole day. So the sister was very unhappy, not with her, nothing to do with her, with the mother. But because she asked her to make instant noodles, so throw the anger at her. So things would have been much messier if she had scolded the sister. In that sense, when you saw that your thoughts are not to be believed, it can save you from a lot of trouble. Okay, another case, a lady who, she has a lot of passion on this. So for me, it's you need passion and openness, not about believing me blindly. This lady has, I wouldn't say stormy, but she has not so smooth relationship with the husband and the kids. Because I met the husband sometimes can be a bit sarcastic in the sense when you say things. So she will get very upset and start quarreling with her. Okay. Now, after listening to what I share, every time the husband opened the mouth, she would immediately tell herself that it's just her interpretation of what he says that make her angry. It's nothing to do with what he say. And a relationship got much better now. She had no problem with the husband, no problem with the kids. Same with the kids. Every time the kids open their mouth, last time she would start nagging and all that. Now she would, okay, this is what they say and this is my interpretation of what they say. So if I get angry, it's my interpretation of what they say. Not rude as in the kids have their own way of thinking things and our different of generation. So now she began to be open to try to understand what the kids are really thinking rather than just immediately start cutting them off.
Most of the time, the problem is that the child is rude or ungrateful. He's doing so much.
Maybe I didn't talk to her in detail.
So then, in that situation,
but she did say that.
Forgive and say you explain and try not to take it. I mean, I'm not talking about in the situation.
Again, I would like to go back to, I'm not emphasizing on what to do, not to do, but I understand you because we will jump to what should we do. I'm saying that if you know how the mind works, we will know what to do. Sometimes we need to be very stern with the kids. Sometimes we need to be more friendly. It depends on the situation. But one question I want to ask, which very important questions, which most parents I think didn't realize, is that every time when we scold the kids, are you scolding the kids because they are doing something that is irritating you? Are you scolding the kids because you love them and you want to make them better person? Or are you scolding the kids because of something that you don't like? Is it coming from you or is coming for their good? Most of the time it's coming from you, not from their good. It's because I don't like what they do. It's because they irritate me, not because this is not good for their future. But we add, yeah lah, definitely it's not good for their future. Please honestly ask yourself which is the correct answer. Then you will know what to do. Not necessarily you got to give in. Nowadays, I think parents give in too much to the kids. But it also doesn't mean that you don't allow them to do anything. But we know what to do when we come from peace, calm, not come from a lot of thinking. Okay, any other questions useful? Oh, good.
Sorry, Bhante, yes. So in just to add on to what Bhante mentioned just now, right, about intentions, because sometimes because the jitta arises, so many jittas arises in billions of a second, right? So sometimes I feel like whenever we do something, whether it's being firm with children or whatever, I don't have children, I'm just saying, for example, it could be a mixture of different intentions. If that could be the selfless part and also the selfish intentions of scolding a child or trying to discipline a child, right? But so it exists in different proportions. Maybe sometimes it's more of the selfless, really we don't want the children to harm themselves, so we are firm. Sometimes it could be really because they're not meeting our expectations, therefore we lash out or whatever. So does it matter this whole proportion of mixture of different intentions, right? Is it supposed to inform us whether or not we should take action?
Intention is everything. Actually, the word's not important. If you come from a space of love, whatever you say sounds beautiful. But if you come from a space of anger, whatever you say, even the nicest, most beautiful word, the kids sounds terrible to the kid. So intention is important, yes. Yeah. If you have a mixture of intention, again, like I say, we have a choice where we pay attention to. We don't have a choice on controlling fully our thoughts, but we have a choice on which thoughts we want to pay more attention to.
So would it be still skillful if, let's say, whenever we want to do something, there's a mixture of kusala, akusala intentions, but can we try to focus more on the good intention and still do the thing? Would it?
First, divert a bit. Even if you have not so good intention, if you do good karma, there is good result. Okay, but of course, that result is mixed in a sense. So yes, try to focus more on the good intention, if you can, because intention important. Because there is a saying that intention is karma already. Chitanahang kamang vadami. Okay. Any other? Good.
So there's a slide on the diamond, then you
Okay.
say there's a dirt, then the good thought is like a makeup.
Yeah.
Actually, I tried to make sense, but couldn't make sense.
Okay, so what happens is, I'm saying that initially, naturally, every one of us has this calm and peace in us, which is, I call it diamond.
Okay.
Calm and peace also come with love. Okay. Unfortunately, I feel that in Theravada, we don't emphasize this much. Mahayana, Vajrayana, a lot has this. They call it Buddha nature. I won't call it Buddha nature because I'm very Theravadan, so I can't buy into this idea. But I buy into the idea that naturally we have this diamond inside us. Then we get lost in thoughts, which I put it as the dirt that's covering it.
Yes.
Then we try to think positive to add more thoughts to it, which is the cosmetic on top. But what you got to do is ignore the thought, all the thoughts, which is the dirt. You will see the diamond already.
So no need to have dirt, no need to have makeup lah. Just
Yeah, no need to have makeup. Yeah. Correct.
okay.
Yeah. No need to have more makeup because naturally we are okay.
Oh, understand.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good.
There's a slide. Many slides.
Many sides.
Yeah, about
Where? Which one? This one or this one?
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on this more?
Oh,
It's like
because this one, I will go into. I don't want to go because it's a bit technical, but basically, I feel that I like Bandi Punyaji a lot because I feel that a lot of our traditional translation, we take it as a Bible. He began to question that we didn't translate it properly. And he has a point because my friend pointed out that Theravada has a weakness. A lot of our translation is done by a small group of people, at most 5-6 people. Chinese translation of the text is by thousands of people over centuries. So they have much better translation. For us, we have no choice. But anyway, so this is a very common phrase of Yata Bhutang Pajanati, which is always translated as you see things as they are, not add anything extra. We have this idea. Okay, so this idea, according to Bandi Punyaji, gives you the idea of a existential thinking. That means you think things that exist already. You see them as they are, how they exist. Don't add your story to it. Already you assume there is an existence. So he says that, but that's not what Buddha wants. Buddha wants you to have the experiential thinking. That actually this phrase means that how the process of things come into existence, which is what I explained to you. Like now, you look at the Buddha image, you can only experience your Buddha image through your mind. So shift your attention to how you experience the Buddha image rather than immediately jump to what you experience, which is the Buddha image. When you shift your attention to explore how you experience the Buddha image, you will realize that you never really experienced the Buddha image. You experience your story, your projected mental story of the Buddha image, which is not the reality. And if you keep seeing that, you will see that you are all living, or we are all living in a self-created, a thought-created, mind-created reality. Okay, any other questions or? This is how we try to see things so that we can move towards enlightenment. Yeah, it should be how Arahants see things, but how Arahants see things, I don't know, I'm not reached there. So I can't answer you. Insight important, okay? So when you saw something like, this is how it works, then your life changes. In a sense, you are right, but in a sense, that's why I say if you have an intuition, I call it intuition, it comes from a peaceful state of mind, then usually that's the right path you should follow. If it comes from, let's say, I should do this, maybe I should not, but he tell me I should do this, you're a big struggle in there, usually it's come from a very messed up state of thought-created world. Usually. Okay. I never say thoughts are bad. I keep emphasizing throughout this session that the problem is we made ourselves slaves to the thoughts. That's all. You need thoughts to create things in the world. Thoughts is a creative power. It's a tool for us to create in the world, but now we use it as a weapon to beat ourselves up. That's the problem only. Any other questions? I'm still thinking of examples that we can relate. Oh, okay. Another example that I always use. So there's this lady who give a presentation to her colleagues and colleagues of her department, other department, and maybe because first time or whatever, or she's very passionate about it, her attention is 100% focused on the audience. But the boss beside her was constantly criticizing her, like this is not right, that's not right, that's not right. She wasn't affected at all because her attention wasn't there, wasn't listening. Wasn't listening doesn't mean that it doesn't register. So attention is here, totally not affected, went back home after office hours, took shower, relaxed, sat down, start thinking about what happened that day. She was furious. Why did the boss scold me and criticize me and all that? Suddenly she realized it's her thinking that make her angry, not what the boss said. Because the boss was saying at that time she wasn't angry. You get what I mean? When you can keep seeing this, it's not anything to do. Okay? If you ask me what to do, is to be passionate to see. I'm very passionate to see this. But only thing is, I don't have enough daily drama to share with you. Once you see this, your life change. Because you really see that you don't have to be slave to the world anymore. Otherwise, each and every one of us are slave to the world. Someone says something, we get very upset. Someone say another thing, we get very sad. Another person do something, we get very down. Another person don't do something, we also get very upset. Because we think our happiness is rely on outside. And then we have to please other people because we feel that if the person not happy, then I will not be happy because my happiness dependent on them. But all not true. All are hallucination, maybe I say it, or this is delusion. Buddhism, we always talk about delusion and ignorance. But we always think that illusion, ignorance, delusion, it's something very far away. Maybe 10 lives later, we will realize. No, you can see it now. This moment. So this is what I'm passionate to share. That if you see it, immediately your life changes. And all your problems, without exception, will be solved. Solved as in not what's happening out there. Solved as in your problems never come from there anyway, from outside. Any other?
Can we also say this? We don't need to be slave to our thoughts. Also that we don't need to be slave to
This is very dangerous water, but you are true. Because karma comes in a form, karma is not Karma is not a solid reality like this cup. Karmic energy is an energy. It comes from a form of thoughts also. It's not real in the sense. I have to be very careful, but it's not real in the sense. It's not nothing. There is karma, but it's not real. It's like an energy is not real. It's not something you can grasp hold. So same, it won't affect you so much if you don't give attention to the thoughts that come. So your thoughts that come is influenced by your karma, correct? Your conditioning in the past. So you have a choice not to pay attention to them. Then you're not enslaved by them. You're right. Okay. Any other questions?
I think being mindful of time, brothers and sisters, maybe we can cut the Q&A session short so that we can make it in time for Amil Dana to
What
Bante.
time, Dana? 11:30.
Around 11:30, but no worries, Bante. You can finish the talk first, and then we will respectfully invite
Okay,
everyone.
I
for
think
Dana.
I can, let me see any other closing. I just want to see whether any important thing. Okay, I won't go on to this anymore. This will start a new thing. Okay, just that you know that that process of seeing just now is a summary of these 12 links of dependent origination. I won't go through because it's takes time, okay? But just want to emphasize that this whole Paticca Samuppada, which is the core teaching of the Buddha, it's like Bhante Punyaji says, it's a formula how we turn a normal impersonal experience to a personal existence. How the I is formed. In short form is when you look at something, it's through your stories about what you look that causes this existence. Basically your thoughts. Okay, so this one, my friend says, this is a very Indian way of saying, a very long, turning. Because Theravada influenced heavily by Indian culture, so we have the Chinese culture, no time to turning, so is this is Chinese version. 一念无明六道生. One, for those who are not familiar with Chinese term, it means one thought, the whole universe is formed. So basically, just now that 12 go round and round is every thought you have, you are forming your world, including yourself. So if you want to know how the self which originally don't exist doesn't mean nothing, okay? The permanent solid self which originally don't exist, how it comes to being is by every single thought. One thought, the world form. Next thought, strengthen the world and the self. So basically, this is how. So that's why it's a core teaching. And Chinese Buddhism has this power of condensing everything into one sentence. But I realized that unless you know Chinese terminology, I was explaining to Chinese speaking who never heard Buddhism before. They asked me, Bhante, what is Wu Ming? What is Liu Tao? I said, this is common terms. But anyway, any last questions before I have just one announcement, then we finish. Any questions? Questions? Okay, just to let you know, I got to find where am I. Okay, I do this conversation every Friday night for those who are interested. For some reason, I managed to do it for 4 years. I don't know how. But every Friday night at 8 p.m., I will talk from different aspects on this. Basically, just these two Dharma. That we already have the natural peace and calm. And that we don't experience the world. We experience our thinking of the world. Also, I don't know whether I have this. Oh, okay. This BMSM is organizing 3 days, a series of one day retreat. Started yesterday, but It's okay if you want to join in on the second session and the third session. Okay, just for those who are interested in this conversation. Okay, I think we can end here. Then we'll do maybe sharing merits. Okay. So please, in your mind, we share merits with all the devas, all the Dharma protectors, all the guiding deities, especially of this place. Also share our merits with all the family members, relative friends, especially departed family members, relative friends and ancestors. Make aspiration always with the wise, avoid the foolish, be free from greed, hatred, illusion, and keep practicing to realize, keep exploring to realize Nibbana. At the end, again, share merits with each and every single beings, wishing each and every single beings have equal share of merits.